Hello and welcome back again to Father and Sundays, the unexplainable guide to absolutely nothing. This week's topic, we're going to be talking about space and a lot of other things with that as well.
Yes, we are indeed. Something I know little about.
So that's exciting stuff, so stay tuned if you want to hear more. Hello, this is future Connor and Dad, but this isn't future Connor and Dad, it's actually still past for you. As you're listening to this, but future in regards to the Connor and Dad you're about to hear. So
that's clear then, yeah?
Yep, really clear. We're just here to tell you that in this podcast, we say we're going to talk about space and lots of other things to do with space, but really what we talk about is just outside of our atmosphere, a couple of things to do with space and the space station, and the moon, and we don't get much beyond that. So there's still a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, but I don't think people are really coming to these podcasts to try and get some facts and some in-depth information about these things. So I wouldn't worry about it too much.
They really shouldn't be anyway. But with that, we are wanting to talk a bit more about that. So there will be future podcasts where we do come back to the topic. But for now, here's this one to enjoy. And also, if you haven't checked them out already, we released 2 other podcasts last Sunday, theme parks and ghosts. Both are available, so check those out as well. But anything else to say?
No, not really. Just enjoy if you can.
Yeah, onwards with the podcast then.
Okay.
So, space. I've got a lot of love for space. I can't say that.
Got a what?
I got a lot of love for space.
Yes.
As a kid, I used to love it loads. Like the idea of it, going up into it. It's something absolutely mind-boggling, mind-blowing.
Yeah, I think that is one of my issues with it, to be honest, is I find it exciting. I think, some of the things that have gone on, I've watched the programs and everything, but it blows my mind. I think if I think too much about it, it hurts. And I don't think that's a good thing, because I cannot wrap my head around certain aspects of it. I think it's so vast, and when I try to make sense of it, it just doesn't compute anymore. But I mean, the space exploration, unbelievable. I watch stuff on that all the time, and it's incredible how they were doing this on the seat, and by the seat of their pants. Really, there was incredible intelligence involved, but also a certain amount of luck, for the people to actually do what they've been doing. So I've got much admiration for that. But I know it's something you've always had an interest in, and something I guess that I wouldn't say you'd aspire to be an astronaut, but it's something that I think if I said to you, there's an opportunity you could go up into space, you'd be absolutely pardon the pun, over the moon about it.
Well, if someone offered me a seat to go into space, I would probably take it at the drop of a hat. As long as there's the opportunity to return. This is one of the Mars missions. I'm not all into those because they're a one-way trip. But it's just crazy and amazing. And even when you're saying about space travel and how far things have come, when you consider the fact that there is more computing power in your mobile phone than what was available when they put man on the moon for the first time.
That's absolute madness, isn't it? That's absolute madness.
And like you said, it is luck, because a lot of it was luck, because they were able to calculate things, they were able to predict things, but at the same time, even from just the fact that Neil Armstrong on that mission to the moon, on that landing, they looked down and they go, the landing site they'd chosen was filled with craters, they couldn't really land there, so they had to guide it elsewhere to land somewhere else. The point being is, one, that wouldn't happen nowadays, because really they know exactly where they're going to land, they know exactly what it's going to look like when they get there. But it just shows you that they didn't really know everything until it actually happened. Which I think we don't like to do it nowadays like that.
No,
but it was just quite a lot of luck there as well, because you don't know something until you've tried it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think we were lucky enough to go to the Kennedy Space Center in 2019, and that was a real eye opener. I mean, even speaking to some of the people that worked on certain aspects, I remember standing talking to a guy that was part of the design and build of the shuttle, the space shuttle.
Yeah,
And
Atlantis as well.
yeah, and I mean, it's incredible. You talk to him about how that works and how being part of that team, and but you know, as I say, I won't ever say that the people who were involved weren't the most intelligent, the most or even imaginative to a certain degree, problem solving, everything else. But you're right. You know, they were they talk about them being having the right stuff, and I think without a doubt to do something like that is just it's incredible. What it takes out of your body and mind is just unreal. So, but you know, I would like to say that I would like to do that sort of thing as well. And if there was a seat on a one of these, you know, Richard Branson type spaceships that go up there, shuttles or something like that, to be able to do that, and even to go
Or
out of
Elon
the
Musk.
Earth's, or yeah, out of the Earth's atmosphere and see that. Oh yeah, great.
Oh,
But yeah, what on earth was that? That was a lot louder in my ears, believe me. I think that was
Space.
NASA.
There's a contacting you.
There's a problem. There's a problem. No, but there's certain things about it. It's the I know that if you were doing that sort of thing, you wouldn't have that sort of craft. But when you look at how claustrophobic it was, how the temperatures in those cabins, the fact that they're suited up, and you know, I have trouble even sort of putting a hat on, you know, let alone having a helmet and a a suit,
Space shoot.
and a space
That's how they
suit.
get back
Yeah,
down, isn't it? From
yeah,
the space
exactly,
station.
exactly. Yeah, it's fantastic. I'd like to do that, but you know, actually being that near to the screens and near to the other people, I think I wouldn't be able to cope with that. And that's the you know, don't even talk about. I mean, the motion sickness, the G force. I mean, I know they go through all the training in order to get themselves and to find out who can and who can't do it. But you know, I wouldn't even get past those stages, let
That's
alone. I mean, I have done a little bit of research because I thought I know nothing about this.
well, just just
So
just beforehand, just really interestingly, because you said about you feel like you'd struggle with that. We did the Kennedy Space Center. Just going back on that a little bit, we actually did one of the NASA simulators there, didn't we?
oh, we did, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah, that was incredible. That was, but that's just going slightly off tangent there. And I know
Yeah,
you've got other
I
things
was.
you want to say, but I just wanted to
Um,
say that was incredible. And I know I've been other simulators we've been on, like Mission Space. We like to mention Florida quite a lot, but Mission Space in Epcot,
yeah,
that one is very different. That one I really enjoy. I think you feel sick when you go on that.
well, I've got to be honest. I have never been on a ride that has had sick bags there for you as
Yeah,
part of the ride, and you know that's a sign that you're in trouble. And I must admit, I mean, I can't believe I've been in that more than once. But if that's even a 0 point blah 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 of a percentage of what it's actually like, then oh no, absolutely not. I
but
really
anyway,
struggled eating a hot dog after I come off that one. That's how bad it
the
was.
Footlocker we had one half an end each, didn't we, when I was a kid?
Yeah.
But sorry
Anyway,
to
look.
interrupt you. Back to
No,
your
no, that's right. That's
research.
fine. No, no, no. So I've looked in my bumper pop-up book of space, and it's
Was
come
it
up with a
pop-up book?
few. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're going to get a book, get a pop-up book. What's the
Well, I
point in
guess
having anything
space is
else?
3D, so
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way you learn. Oh no,
yeah,
I'm not
pop-up
interested.
books.
Either ones like that or ones you can feel and have got like
Yeah,
reflective surfaces in them. Yeah.
one that comes up
Anyway,
with a mirror at the end. See, ones
that's
that
the one.
the least reading, the better.
Oh
If you
yeah,
can
yeah,
look at it
without a doubt,
with a
yeah.
drawing.
It's just the pictures, really, yeah. Um, so I was stunned by this. In order for a person to live for a year in space, they have to drink 730 litres of their own sweat and wee.
Yeah, incredible. Because on the space station, I mean, they take up supplies, but they're not going to be able to take up If you think about how much water they're going to need just for like how many months they're in space, they're not going to be able
Yeah.
to take all that up, and everything is near enough recycled.
Yeah,
And
don't get me wrong. I wasn't saying they drink each other's wee and drink each other's sweat. It is all recycled. It's not straight from the body.
I mean, strictly speaking,
So,
they do drink each other's sweat and each other's wee, but they just don't do it. It's filtered.
yeah,
It's strange when you think about it, but I guess that's exactly the same with being on Earth. Is the fact that once you go to the toilet, everything goes the same direction, everything's filtered, cleaned, and then you drink it
yeah.
again.
I wouldn't want to know whose it was. I think it'd have to be it's anonymous. You know, otherwise
Oh,
I,
I
I
always
don't think
sign
I
my
could come.
wee once I've done
Do
it.
you? All
Yeah.
right, okay.
Same with
Yeah,
the
fair
poos
enough.
as well.
Anyway, look. No, so there's that, right? Then we've got the fact that whole chunks of thick, dead heel skin just float off your body when you're in space.
Yep.
Did you know that?
Um, heel skin,
It,
as in the skin in your heel.
well, yeah.
I mean,
I don't,
let's be honest. Uh, there's going to be bits of all of your skin that are going to come off, but I guess with the heel, because it's not being.
chunks. It actually said chunks.
Well, I think it's because specifically with your heel, when you look at like a child's foot, a freshly born child, fresh from the shop,
Mm,
they've got very soft feet, haven't they?
they
And
have.
you really wear down your feet with all the walking and the gravity and stuff like that. So it makes sense that if you were to lose some of those things like the tightness on your feet, even just the amount of pressure on there, you're gonna stuff's gonna be there that doesn't really need to be there. That hard skin doesn't really need to be there anymore. So it makes sense that those chunks might fly off.
Oh, right. Okay.
Have you watched that video of the astronaut who forgot he wasn't in space anymore?
No, something tells
No?
me it's something I won't want to watch. But
No.
yeah.
It's hilarious, and it's one of those things that's kind of like sad but funny because I don't know. Because what he does is he's holding some things. He's talking to someone on like TV, and he's got a pen in one hand, some piece of paper in the other. And what he does, he's still holding the piece of paper, and he's talking with the, when you wave your pen around and talk,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously you want to put your pen down because you're finished. So he just lets go. And
Oh, because he's
lets go
still
in front
working
of
on
him.
the
Yeah.
still
And
working
all
on
of
the
a
basis
sudden,
of gravity.
forget
Not being
gravity
there.
exists,
Yeah.
and you look down and he goes to pick it back up again, but it's not there because it's on the floor.
Oh, I could use that as a good excuse for a lot of things that happened to me.
Yeah,
And I
that's
haven't
just one
even
of those
been an
things.
astronaut.
There's so many things. You could go on a real rabbit hole with YouTube videos about the space station and stuff like that. Chris Hadfield, the astronaut, Canadian astronaut. You've heard of him, yeah? He's
I
the one that
think
did.
so.
He's the one that did took the
guitar.
guitar to space. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did a lot of videos, especially, and he's one of my favourite astronauts. He did videos where he was showing. There's a whole YouTube channel about the space station, but it was like showing how different things behave in space, how matches behave in space, how water, what happens if you cry in space, and stuff like that, and it just
Oh,
balls
right.
up in your eye and stuff.
Oh,
But yeah,
nice.
that's another little
Yeah, so
story.
none of this is convincing me that's something I want to do. Right, another thing.
Another thing.
Apparently, we all know that there's no noise in space, right? No sound,
Yeah, no one can hear you scream.
which I think is bizarre anyway. But anyway, because I've seen some films and
You
you
filmed some
certainly
Star
hear the
Wars and
lasers.
yeah.
Yeah. Right, anyway.
Pew!
But apparently, space smells, right? It actually smells. And the people that have been up in space and have described it, they've described it as a smell like sweaty feet and stale body odour.
Now, you know why that would be.
But because they're all stuck in a space station.
They're all
You can
stuck in a
find
space
some-
station,
Yeah, but yeah, I get that. But that's not what they were talking about. They were talking about like space in general
So how did they smell space?
through a special space smelling device.
A special-
NASA.
Special snorkel.
It's like a stick-on nose that they've got on the side of it. Have you never seen this?
Like those hazmat things where you stick your hands in to handle
Yeah,
like
it's just
radioactive
it's a
material
nose.
in these massive gloves,
Yeah.
but it's just nose. You stick your nose in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
With that, if someone was to go outside and tried to smell space, they wouldn't survive long enough to tell you what it smelled like. If there's a
Well,
vacuum in space and there's no particles to smell. I feel like what they're saying there is it smells of sweat and body odor on the space station.
well, they did describe some other things around it about it being a burning smell, and that I suppose that could be an issue as well. That could be something to do with it. I mean, it's always going to
Someone's
smell like
burnt their toast.
inside of a packet of dry roasted peanuts in one of these places anyway. So
Smells
it's
like
not going
Southend
to.
United locker room, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, perhaps that one I need to do a bit more research on. So apparently, you age slower in space.
Yeah, yeah, you do. There's been a thing about taking a twin up to space, and they actually, I think they did it with not essentially did it. I mean, there was an astronaut went in space and he was a twin, that kind of thing. The idea being is a lot of your aging is based on gravity and gravity's impact on you and gravity's effect on you. So if you're to go to space and you're not to have all these things like forces upon you, then you're gonna age slower. Do you know what I mean? It's like the same thing that you can grow when you're in space. When you come back to Earth, you would have been slightly taller. You do shrink down again, but
Hmm.
and it also
And that's through
it
gravity, but
also
that's
I will also point out as well that this is getting a bit more. This is getting very different from it. Now that's just talking about the space station. Now time is based somewhat on gravity, so time can be dilated by gravity's forces, which means that if I was, for example, to go on to one planet and you were to go on to another planet, there's a chance that on one planet time goes faster. So when I then meet up with you again, you would have aged, say, more or less than I would have because of the different forces put upon us.
right. Okay. Wow. That's again blows my mind.
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Right. Okay. I've got one more then. One more in particular I wanted to talk about. Obviously, and this is very sad, but obviously not all missions have been a success.
Hmm.
And when they first started sending rockets up, they sent ones that had animals in. Now, I've read, and I dearly hope this is not true, but I feel that it probably is true, that up in space, up and around, that space area, there's lots of,
Big area that.
yeah,
Some would
there's
say
obvious,
infinite.
oh yeah, maybe, that there's obviously bodies
Yep.
of previous missions that have failed, or so there's animals up there. There's it's when they've sent up animals in spaceships, there's actually dead animals out there. Now, the thought of being on a spacewalk and then getting hit round the head by a golden retriever as you're just about to do some fixing some tiles on the side of things, it horrifies me. The
Fixing
actual
some
idea,
tiles. Ceramic
the idea,
tiles.
the idea that fixing that nose on the side of the ship
Yeah,
so that you
yeah.
can smell space, that
That's cool
absolutely
back.
frightens the life out of me. The fact that these things are flying around. I mean, is that actually? Do you know if that's true or not?
It's not something that I've actively looked into or know about. I mean, for one,
Why
it
not?
makes. I'm sorry. It makes total sense, and things have changed since then anyway. But if something was to happen to a craft in space, hence the reason why they sent these animals to space, because they were at the time seen as expendable.
Oh yeah.
I'm saying seen at the time.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
I know. A lot of these
Yeah.
things
They
were
don't
of a
do that
time.
kind of thing anymore, although there are some experiments in space that they do with animals, but I'll go into that in a minute. But they're seen as expendable, and when something they can't bring it home, what's going to happen with it? It's just going to float there.
Yeah, and I
If
guess
something goes wrong, it's just going to float there. Some of which might be still in their little tin can. Some of which might be floating around. It actually kind of reminds me of the film Ad Astra. I mean, I know you haven't seen that, but there's a part with
Yeah,
slight spoilers here.
brilliant reference then, because I haven't seen it.
Well, there's
So
it's
you're going to have
about
to explain the film to me now as well.
just briefly a brief kind of synopsis thing. Then there's a man and his dad has like the spacecraft, almost Star Trek-esque. They're going to explore things. Then so what happens in this man? He's needs to go find his dad because something's happened and whatever. There's been a mutiny. I don't know. That no one's heard from him. He goes off and they come across his space station as part of the story, and they go in there and there's loads of people, dead people in this space station, just floating around bodies, and then there's these crazy space mutant chimps on the space station.
Yeah,
And that's
it's a
pretty
comedy
scary.
then, yeah?
Yeah, and then he
Rom-com.
goes and finds his dad, and the entire ship that his dad's got is filled up with dead bodies because there was a big fight on the ship, and yeah. But yeah,
Oh,
so
terrific.
lots of floating bodies in space.
Well, I won't sleep for about a fortnight now.
Well, even Star Wars and stuff like that. You think about it, ship gets blown up in Star Wars. Of course, there's going to be a lot of dead stormtroopers just floating around.
Yeah.
They just don't show it. Although, if
Yeah.
they were to re-enter the atmosphere, they would burn up. So.
No, and I guess in my mind that's what would have happened. I didn't realise things could have been preserved and floating around orbiting the Earth.
What happens is generally if
I know there's a
these
lot of
space-
satellites and such
Yeah.
like that. There's a lot of space debris.
space agencies nowadays, what they try and do is when they know they're not going to use something anymore, they purposely destroy it. They purposely crash it. So there's been quite a few cases where they've sent something off to look at. I mean, there was one about the sun. They went to go have a look and investigate the sun a bit further. Obviously, the closer you get to the sun, you're going to get to a point where it's not going to work anymore. But anyway, they wanted to get as close as they could, get as many recordings as they sent. But they knew it was going to get sent into the sun and it was going to essentially die.
No.
There's other ones that they've sent into like planets and stuff like that.
Oh, that's a bit risky, though, isn't it?
Yeah, the planet could fight back. But these things happen, and I don't know. One day you might come across it, and if someone comes across it, they might take it in, and then it might get some kind of memorial or stuff like that. I mean, a lot of the cases where it's been people, it's been
No.
massive explosions.
And I'm not making light of that. Obviously, certainly with the shuttles as well, and obviously prior to even in the simulation where there's been some absolute tragedy. So I mean, these people were incredible people, and I'm not making light for 1 second of the loss there. But it was just something that cropped up, and I read it. I thought, no, that can't
It's
be
not
true.
something you
But
think about. And in fact, going based on this
probably something
conversation,
I shouldn't think about.
I haven't thought about it. I can't think that I've ever thought about it at all, apart from possibly slightly from the film Ad Astra. But I've never thought about it until you kind of mentioned it, and it just is something that does make total sense
Yeah.
to me.
All right. Well, see.
But-
So there you go. Every
was-
day's a school day.
Going from what you said though, like what we're talking about with animals in space, did you know on the space station they take things like insects, like ants is a big one. They take ants up to the space station to kind of do tests as to how they would behave in zero gravity.
But they're a bugger ants. They're going to get everywhere, aren't they?
Just gonna get everywhere, yeah. Well, the thing with ants though is if they struggle with that, with what to do in zero gravity, like which way's up, all that kind of stuff, if they let go, they're just floating across. When do they stop? They just keep floating. There's just ants. There's just if you go into a certain compartment in a space station,
It's
it's
just,
just ants. just
There's
swarm.
dead ants.
Dead
hit
ants,
by
dead
hit by
ants.
ships of dead ants. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is getting worse.
And plants.
try
They
to-
do it with plants as well.
Oh, that don't seem so bad.
Well, plants are living, but they do it with
Yeah,
plants
but I
just
can-
kind of see
I
how
can
they
see-
behave
no.
as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it'd
can
be
see
quite
how
interesting.
grown.
Could you get a fish? I guess fish wouldn't really work because they need
Water?
like but if you had like a bubble of water, they
Well,
also
we've
need
already
the aeration
all-
and the oxygen in the water. So
we've already
I guess it can
ascertained that there isn't enough water up there, so the fish would have to swim in their own wee and sweat.
Exactly, yeah. You
So
know,
they're
they
never gonna
already do that.
survive.
Another one, actually. There's another film that came out. I can't remember what it was
Oh,
called.
not another film.
I haven't seen it, but didn't it have Jennifer Lawrence on it?
Oh
and
yeah, I
another
think I know.
bloke.
Yeah.
And there was on the trailer, it had like they had a swimming pool on the ship, and then all the water comes out the swimming pool, and they're swimming through the water in the swimming pool. What fascinates me is how water behaves in space, and that's one of the big reasons why I go to space, just so I can play with water because it looks quite fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic! They're probably crying out for someone to do that as well, aren't
Yeah,
they?
exactly. Yeah, I always see like adverts on Indeed and stuff. We need someone to go to space to play with
Yeah.
water.
Are you interested in water? Do you like space and ants?
Have we got a job for you?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh well, there you go.
Yeah,
Something to fall back on if the career doesn't work.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. You've always got to have these other things to think
Aspirations.
about.
All right. Okay. So yeah. All right. So you haven't in the least convinced me that I want to go up in space. I want to do any of these things. I'm quite happy watching a documentary, um, searching net.
It's happening again.
I have no idea why that keeps searching Netflix for bad movies that you're suggesting, and I'll just do all that, and you can get on with the exploration.
If I'm perfectly honest, I didn't know I was meant to be convincing you, so I
No?
truly apologise.
Oh,
But
you failed miserably.
it doesn't matter because if everyone wanted to go to space and everyone did go to space, then there'd be no one left on Earth. So we need someone to stay on Earth, Dad, and that's your job.
Oh, that's all right, caretaker. That's fine
Yeah.
with me. I'll do that.
Can you mop up the cat wee whilst we're up
Yeah.
in space, please?
Yes, yeah, no problem. It's about my level.
And now a word from our sponsors. Over.
Roger, over.
Coming soon. In a town as old as time. Boy meets girl. Girl meets boy. Zombie apocalypse. Dystopian nightmare.
Game time.
Right, now, for a bit of a game then, Dad. You've been preparing something this week, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I mean, you're the expert here, and I'm hoping you're going to
Not an expert,
pass,
but yeah.
pass with flying colours. I've got questions about areas of the moon. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you an area on the moon, and you're going to tell me whether it's actually an area on the moon or not.
All right. And have
Very
you put
aware I've
more
said
moon a lot, yeah?
moon, yeah, I'm a moon.
Have you put more moon? Have you put more moon? Have you put more thought into moon to what you're calling this week?
You would think so after the debacle of last time, but
What, myth or real?
myth or real. This is called
Moon or real?
areas of the moon.
These are really creative names. I mean,
yeah.
when we went for the first one, which was ride reviews, at least I had
Yeah.
alliteration.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Yeah, don't just diss me. Right, number one. Is this an area on the moon? The Sea of Serenity.
That one is an area on the moon. Yeah,
Are you sure?
yeah.
All
No,
right.
I am right.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
wish I'd let that go there.
I was thinking. No, hang on. Is that a place on Mars? I knew it was a place, but
No,
yeah, Sea of
it's a place on the
Serenity.
moon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a crater or something, isn't it? I can't remember actually, but
Yeah, it's a large. I think I've got a few that are craters and a few that are just areas within which are large craters, basically.
you know what's really interesting is the fact that you could be going, oh yeah, it's a crater, and you could be telling the complete lie, but
I've written it down. So
Oh, look,
I've written it
you've
down whether it's a crater or something else.
you are clever, aren't you?
Oh, I don't just throw these things up in about 5 minutes, you know. There's a lot of effort been put into this.
All right.
Might not be the most interesting game, but here we go. Anyway, number two.
Number 2.
The sea that has become unknown.
The sea that has become unknown.
Yep,
It's a bit of a long name, isn't it? Bit of a mouthful.
it is.
Um, it's one of those things that you'd almost think that they'd name it something, and then they go, "Oh, actually, I'm not sure what this is anymore. Maybe we can't call it that anymore." But I am gonna go with it's not. It's what was the? No, it was just not true. Yeah.
Just not true. Well, I can tell you now that the sea that has become unknown is actually a true place on the moon.
All right. What is it?
So, unfortunately, it's just an area. It's like, well, look,
Is it a grey bit?
look, there's things that, yeah, it's a grey bit which is bigger than a crater. That seems to be how they differentiate between the two. So,
Is it?
so the next
They base it
one,
on colour, and then
it's all.
is it all
was
grey
a-
because they
it
recorded
was a
the
black-
film landing at the
It was
moon
a black
landing
and
in the
white
60s?
picture. I can't tell you what colour. It's a black and white picture. There was darker bits and lighter bits. You're making too much of this.
All
Just
right.
go with the flow. Right, number 3.
They are all C's so far. So yeah.
This is a crater. Right, so
Ah.
bear that in mind when you answer this.
Spoilers.
Griswold, which is a crater.
Isn't that the guy from Fantastic Beasts?
Well, yes, it is. Yeah,
You know what? I'm gonna
two
go.
people can have the same name.
No, this is exactly my point. I'm gonna go on the fact that Griswold was named after the area on the moon, and the area on the moon was named after another kind of creature from mythical or history or something like that. I'm gonna
Right.
go that it's true.
True.
Yeah.
Well, you're wrong.
Oh, so
actual-
it's just the person from
Yes,
Fantastic
yeah,
Beasts.
yeah, you were right the first time. Yeah. The actual crater is called Grimaldi.
Ah,
So
that's
sounds
because
slightly similar. See where I did.
they bought
went
it
with
from
that
this kind of German supermarket, yeah? Grimaldi.
Yeah, terrible one. That's why it's Grimaldi.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, number 4. You're not doing very well.
one
Yeah?
from
What do you
Candy.
do about this? Number 4. Sea of Clowns.
The Sea of Clouds.
Sea
I'm sure
of
we could say
clowns.
that on a podcast.
No, this is totally different.
Different kind of
These
clown,
are
yeah?
Actual clowns.
Oh, right.
Sea of Clowns.
How are we spelling C?
The same as I've spelt it every other time I've written
Oh,
it down
right,
here.
okay.
SEA.
I'm going to go, that's not real. Myth.
You're correct. It's not real. It's actually Sea of Clouds.
Ah. See, if
So I
you said
think you've
Sea of
got
Clouds,
2 out
I'd
of 4.
instantly know it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
So I've got. I guess
You
if
got
we're scoring
2 out of 4.
So if I don't get it, is that a point to you?
Oh, right, so it's 2 all, yeah. 2
Yeah,
all.
so
Yeah,
2 all.
very, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it could be any less interesting, then we'll make a competition. Oh, here we go. That's someone telling me to please stop. Number 5.
Please.
Please
How many of
stop.
these you
This
got?
is terrible. Well, you're not going to like this. 50. No, I've got 10 of them.
All right, that's fine.
And a bonus one.
Ah,
Right, anyway,
a bonus.
number 5. Let's rattle through these. Then. Come on, let's rattle through these. Number 5. The Sea of Fertility.
Sea of Fertility.
Yeah.
The Sea of Fertility. Isn't that like the coast off of Magaluf?
Yeah, it's very well done. Don't start
Yep.
trying to throw jokes in this as well. We're going down like the Titanic as it is.
The Sea of Fertility, you know what?
Yes.
I'm going to go from the fact that people thought that if the moon was this way round, then, and you could see this through your left eye on a Tuesday, then you'd be fertile. So I'm going to go for it's true.
It is true. Well done. I'm not sure about the other load of old ball you just said, but
Yeah.
yes, that is true, yeah. Okay, right. Cracking on. The Sea of Horses.
Horses. Is this because they sent horses out into space to check if it would work and they accidentally crashed some of them into the moon?
Yeah, there's a couple of dead horses floating around.
I am going to go for Sea of Horses as true.
It's false.
False.
We're neck and neck in this appalling quiz.
I
Right,
thought
question.
horses might have come from
No, I
a
just
different.
made that
I
up
don't know.
completely.
Oh wow, clever
Right.
you.
Yeah, I know. Number 7. This is a crater, and the crater's called Steve.
Oh,
So
You know
is
what?
there a crater on the moon called Steve?
you know what?
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me, but I'm gonna say no. There's
Oh,
not.
you're right.
Because I was thinking, you know how people just go, I want to buy a bit of the moon, or like, I go, you've got a lot of money, so you go, right, if I pay all this money to the space agency, can I pay buy a part of the moon? And they go, yeah, sure. All right, I'm naming this
What do you want to
crater
call
Steve.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve. Yeah. No. Well, unless there was some called Stevinus, then that's the actual crater that I was talking about.
Oh,
Okay,
right.
number 8. The Sea.
Stevenson.
Maybe Sea of Cold.
The Sea of Cold, aka the Thames Estuary. I'm gonna go for the Sea of Cold being true, because that's where the ice on the moon is.
Well, again, your reasoning behind it, I have no idea about, but that is true. So you're edging ahead there by the look of it. Number 9,
Not just
the
a fairy
sea,
face me.
sea of Vapors.
Vapors.
Yeah.
Oh. Darth Vapor. I think this one is gonna be a myth.
Wrong. It's true.
Oh!
Delighted about that.
You
Right.
are.
Okay. Number 10, the Sea of Seas.
The Sea of Seas.
Yeah.
Big C.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
It's false.
False.
Yes. I think that meant we drew this. So it's all on this last question, this bonus question.
Oh, it's like it was planned.
Yeah, it is. And believe me, none of this was planned. Good God, no. Anyway, for a bonus point, how many rings are around Uranus?
Oh, I used to know this. How many rings around Uranus?
I don't even care. I just wanted to say that.
Alright. But you know the answer, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's 3.
Yeah? You sure?
Yeah.
Definitely 3.
Yeah.
That is incorrect. It's 11.
11! So close!
Apparently, there's an inner set of 9 and 2 outer rings. So there you go. I think I've won that. That terrible quiz.
Terrible quiz.
Terrible quiz.
Next
I'm
week,
so sorry.
Bits of Mars.
Yeah. Dear, oh dear. That was a shocker. Well, I think we're pretty much at the end of it. I don't know. We've got some correspondence, I think. Do you want me to run through that?
Yeah, so what? You mean some people have sent stuff in again?
Yep, people have sent something in.
Genuine stuff been sent in?
Yes, it appears so. I haven't read through them properly
Because,
yet.
just to clarify, at the time of recording, our first 2 podcasts went out like 6 hours ago.
Look, I don't know, understand how technology works, so I'm just going with the flow. I can only read what I receive, So
Alright.
you either want to hear it or you don't want to hear it.
Sure, let's hear it. Let's hear what the public have got to say.
We've had a couple. So what's the first one? Dear Father and Son.
Oh, that's us.
I thought you'd like to know that the email you received in connection to your Ghosts episode from Jim the Ghost was a hoax. Oh, right. Okay. So that was from last week, I believe. Yes. Yeah, last week's one when he was rather annoyed about the fact we intimated that there was no such thing as ghosts. Right. I have known Jim for many years now and can confirm that, one, confirm that 1, he lives in a shoebox, not a shed, and 2, it's not in Mid Wales. If anything, it's North West Wales. Thought you should know the truth. All the best, Beryl. Born 1907, died 1962, severe athlete's foot. Right, so it would appear that
so
it was true all along.
Yeah, it was true. What?
I don't know. Right, got another one.
Fair enough. So, Beryl, so she might be a bit unwell.
Yeah,
Poor
well,
athlete's
she's
foot.
unwell. She's dead.
Yeah, she died of athlete's foot.
That's the worst. That's as far unwell as you can possibly
kind
get.
of unwell.
Unwell it is, yeah. Shocking. There's no way back from that unwell.
No, there isn't.
Right, I've got another one. Oh, it's Dear Phil and Holly. Doesn't start very well, does it? Why do you insist on putting fake accents on when you're doing your podcast? It's distracting, and to be honest, I've lost interest. Maybe you could try having a cooking slot with Gino, as long as he uses his own voice. Disappointed, Janice, Upper Thorn, West Yorkshire. Right, well, Janice, I don't quite know what to say about that. I would say, though, Gino puts on that voice anyway. His real name's Ian, and he's from Hull, I believe, isn't he? So all around, you're going to get disappointed.
I think
Janice, I'm very sorry.
I think Janice is on to us, Holly.
Yeah, I think she is.
Go on,
Right.
bring Gino in. Gino can say something, can't he?
Gino? No, I don't know.
I think you can convince Gino to speak, can't you?
Gino, I don't know if he's in the building at the moment.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I think he's lost his accent slightly.
Oh, what does it sound like?
Are you talking about his real accent or his fake accent?
His fake one. Go on, do this Italian accent.
He's like, oh, hello, my name's Gino. See, that's how he talks. I know, it's uncanny, isn't it?
It is. So I thought that was Gino.
Yeah, exactly. You
Or
thought
Ian.
he walked into the room, yeah. But Ian actually sounds very different from that.
How does Ian sound?
Hello. That's a nice lasagna. He's lost his whole accent slightly.
He has,
but
yeah.
he's more estuary now.
Oh, right. Similar to you then, yeah?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But this is not my real voice either.
Oh, is it not?
No. Well, we'll talk about that on another podcast.
All right. Or in private.
Cool. Yeah. This is about as interesting as everything else we're doing.
Oh, is that it then? Is that all
That's
our messages
shocking.
we received?
Yeah. There's nothing like going out with a whimper, is there?
That sounds like a lot of really great fan mail we received this week,
Oh,
because none of them actually complimented us.
Oh, no, I know. But maybe next week. I've got a good feeling about next week's
You got a good feeling
correspondence.
about next week,
I
yeah?
have. I think it's gonna really pick us up.
Yeah,
So looking forward to it.
I hope it does, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's it then, yeah?
Yeah, that is it. Yeah, really sorry. Just like I apologise about everything that's happened in that second
Yeah, so
half.
you said sorry we've got to go, or is it sorry what we've done?
Oh no, I'm just so sorry about what's happened.
All right, well,
I've let myself down. I've let you down. I've let all the people that aren't listening to this down.
oh, well, I'm sure they'll forgive you. Anyway, thank you
Yeah.
so much for listening this week.
Until next time.
I've enjoyed it. You enjoyed it, Dad?
Yeah, it's been a blast.
You
I've learned so much.
You sound so overjoyed.
I'm just going to go off and have a little cry.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening this week. If you haven't already, you can subscribe through many different means from many different podcast platforms. Follow us on all the social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that kind of stuff. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Have I missed anything there, Dad, or you got anything to add?
No, nothing at all. Nothing at all.
No? Well, if I have missed anything, it will be down to you. All right,
Okay.
but thank you very much, and we'll speak to you next time then. Thank you up.
Yeah, you got anything, Gino? Oh, ciao. Yeah, goodbye.
Goodbye.